Hey guys, welcome to another video. This time we are going to build an awesome e-commerce website for a popular drink company using HTML, Tailwind CSS and vanilla JavaScript. Unlike other JavaScript tutorials, we are not using just 3 files to build our project. Instead, we are going to use Vite to generate our project in a professional way. Vite will help you split your JavaScript code in multiple files easily. We are going to use Tailwind CSS to style our project without leaving our HTML file. Using Tailwind CSS, you don't have to add a separate file for your CSS code. It will handle your design inside the HTML file. Now let's see what we are going to build in this project. As you can see, this is our header part. We have a logo here and some menu, and in here we have a search bar, and in the right corner we have a basket. If I click this basket, a model will pop up and it will display all the data that we have inside our shopping cart. Down here we have 4 carts. Now if I hover over this cart, as you can see, our calorie data will be changed with a new data. In here I have multiple selects. I can select my details here, and if I click this button, you can see a notification will pop up here and a new item will be added inside my shopping cart. If I click this button again, you can see I have a new product inside the shopping cart. Using this button, I can increase the quantity. You can see the price in here, and in total data will be changed all in real time. If I click this button, the quantity will be decreased along with these prices, and using this button, I will be able to delete a single data. Okay. Now if I add another product, you can see the notification here. But if I try to add this product again, I won't get the duplicate product in my shopping cart. Instead, the counter will be increased here. Okay. Now I can add multiple products. You can see using this button, I will be able to delete all the shopping carts inside my carts. Okay. This project is going to be mobile responsive. As you can see, it's looking good in all mobile devices. And finally, if I refresh the page, you can see my carts are still inside the browser because I have stored all my shopping carts inside the local storage. Alright guys, that's what we are gonna build in this video. I hope this video will be helpful for you. Please make sure to give a like to this video and give a subscribe to my channel. Okay guys, in this video we are going to design this beautiful e-commerce website. So at first we are going to style the header part with this model that will display our shopping cart inside, and then we will style this text here. Then we will display this cart. As you can see, if I hover over this cart, our initial data will be changed to a new data. Finally, we will make this website responsive. As you can see, this website is looking good in all devices. Alright, now let's get started. Okay guys, now I'm inside the VS Code. As you can see, I have an empty folder in here. So the first thing which we need to do is we need to generate our vanilla JS project. So to make that, we are going to use Vite, which is a tool that will help us generate our vanilla JS project. But to use this tool, you need to have a Node.js installed in your machine. Okay. Now I'm gonna head over to this website, and down here you need to copy this code. Inside the VS Code, open a new terminal and paste this code in here Following that, you need to write this dot. Okay, it will help you generate the project inside this empty folder. Now I'm gonna choose vanilla JS here. Just hit enter and JavaScript, and that's it. You can see I have generated my files in here. Now we need to write npm install to get that node modules. Okay, alright, we get that. Now inside here, as you can see, I have a file called counter. I'm gonna delete that. Now inside this main.js, we have some code provided by Vite, so we don't need them all. I'm gonna delete them from here. Make sure to not delete this style.css, otherwise this file won't work. So I'm gonna delete everything from here as well. And inside here, we need to do some setup. Okay, so I'm gonna write margin 0, padding 0, box sizing to be border box. Okay, now inside this index.html, you can see I have a title here, so I'm gonna change that to be doing website. And as you can see, it has already linked my JS file in here, and it used module type also. Okay, now let's install Tailwind CSS. So in here we need to look for Tailwind CSS. Okay, now we need to click this get started, and from here we need to choose using post CSS. Now you need to select this code from here. Open the terminal again and just paste it here. Okay, now we need to generate this config file for our Tailwind. Just copy this code from here. Okay, you can see we have a config file for our Tailwind CSS. Alright, now all you need to do is just copy this line of code from here and paste that inside style.css. Okay, now let's check if our Tailwind CSS is working or not. So inside here we need to write heading 1 hello world, but we need to provide a class for this one. We need to change the color. Okay, so text read and 400. So before we run our application, we need to change our config file. I'm gonna change this code with the new one. You can see I have changed this content. Just make sure to copy this code. Okay, and down here we have some colors that we are gonna use later on in our application, some screen sizes here, and finally we have a grid template columns. Okay, now let's run our application. npm run div. Now hold this control and click this link. Okay, you can see that this Tailwind CSS is not working. That is because we don't have a post CSS file yet. So as you can see inside this package.json, I have already installed this post CSS here, but we do not have this in here. Now you can make that manually. So inside here we need to make a new file and call that postcss.config.js. okay, and just paste this code here. Now let's rerun our application. Now as you can see that the Tailwind CSS is successfully connected to our vanilla JS project. Alright, now let's build our application. So I'm gonna close these all tabs from here that I don't need. As you can see, I have the original website in here. I have already hosted with the Netlify. So now we are gonna build the header part of this application. So I'm gonna open VS Code again. Now I'm gonna delete this code from here, and at first we need to have a div container. Inside here we need to have a header, okay, and inside this header, as you can see, we have a logo, there's menus here, a search bar, and this basket, okay, along with this text that will show how many items are inside our basket. So I'm gonna open here. So at first we need to get our images because we need to import our logo. So I have already added my images folder inside my application. As you can see, I have logo image here and other images that I'm gonna use inside this application. Alright, now at first we need to write a div here, and inside here the first thing is gonna be our logo. We need to bring that logo from images folder. This alt is gonna be logo image, okay. Down this one we need to add our navigation. So in here we need to have another div and a nav tag. Inside this nav tag we need to have multiple href links, okay. The first one is gonna be coffee, tea, and finally menu, okay. Now as you can see, I have a logo and this menu in here, okay. Now let's add our search bar here. So we are gonna add a new div here. I'm gonna specify here search bar path, okay. Now down here we need to add an input. The placeholder is gonna be this search, and following that, as you can see, we have an icon here. So we are gonna get this icon from Font Awesome. We need to install that Font Awesome CDN. Open this website here and just copy this link, okay. Now inside this HTML, up here you need to write Font Awesome link, okay, and just paste that here. Alright, now we have access to Font Awesome inside our application, okay. Now we need to open this Font Awesome here, open these icons, and inside here we need to look for search icon. As you can see, we have multiple search icons, but I'm gonna choose this one. Just if you click this code, it will be copied, and now down here, down this input, you need to have a span tag and add this code here, okay. Now as you can see, we have that icon in here, and now we need to have our basket. So in here we need to write basket path. Make sure to keep that out of this div, okay. So we are gonna have another div again, and inside here we need to have a new div, okay, and the first one is gonna be our counter. So it's gonna be span tag and 0, and finally we need to have a paragraph here which gonna be my basket, okay guys. Now you can see all my heading elements are available here. Now let's style them. So inside this index.html, in this div I'm gonna write class. Margin bottom is gonna be 2 rem, padding top is gonna be 5, weight 95%, for large screen weight is gonna be 90%, MX auto. Now for this header we are gonna give a class name. Now in the screen, as you can see, we have logo, our menu, search bar, and the basket. So we wanna separate them from each other. Inside this class, I'm gonna write flex to divide them into 2 parts. Item center, justify between. Now you can see that the basket is in the right side and the other stuffs are on the left side. Alright. Text is gonna be gray 800. Now for this div, I'm gonna write a class. In here we need to write flex1. So flex1 will take some spaces. Again we need to write flex item center gap 2 for small devices. So using this small, we are targeting the devices which are bigger than 640 pixels in screen. So small gap 5. As you can see, we have separated the logo and the menu as well. Alright. Now for this image, we are gonna give a weight of 10, height of 10, object cover. Again for bigger screen, weight is gonna be 20 and height is gonna be 20 as well. Okay, now our logo is looking good. So to see it better in responsive part, I can split my pages like this. And now for this navigation, I'm gonna write a class here. And now we need to separate the menu from our search bar. So I'm gonna write flex item start justify between, and now position absolute. Okay, because if I navigate to the original website, in here you can see our menu is like a module here. Okay, so we need to make that. For that cause I use position absolute. Now we need to write flex column reverse. The background color is gonna be this title. So this title image is coming from tailwind.config.js. As you can see inside these colors we have that. And top is gonna be 70 pixel, right is gonna be 3, left is gonna be 3, rounded is gonna be MD, padding 3, and finally overflow hidden. You can see that our model has a background color here. Alright. So you know that Tailwind CSS start from mobile responsive. So these styles apply to all the devices. So if I increase the weight of the website, you can see that this module exists in all screen sizes. So for bigger screens, we need to have different styles. So for that cause, again, I'm gonna target the small, the devices which are higher than 640 pixels. So items center, and again small static because we added position absolute and mobile responsive. So we need to bring it back to normal. I added position static here in the bigger screen. Again, it's gonna be flex row. Okay. Background is gonna be transparent. And finally, height is gonna be auto. Now you can see on big screen we have different style. Okay. Now let's style our nav here. At first, the text is gonna be uppercase. Flex column, margin top is gonna be 5, margin bottom 2, text color is gonna be white. Okay, gap 4. Now you can see that they are similar to each other, but because this style applies to all devices, so I'm gonna target this small again and write item center, margin bottom 0, margin top 0, gap 2, text is gonna be unhide, and finally flex row. Okay. Now let's style this single nav menu here. So I'm gonna write a class for all of them. The class name is gonna be nav. Now I'm gonna write the style for all of them inside style.css here. In Tailwind CSS, if you wanna add style inside style.css, you need to add this @apply here at first, and following that you can write your code. So the first one is gonna be tracking wider, so it will add spaces between each characters. Okay. Font bold, text extra small. Now for bigger screen, text is gonna be small. We need to add a hover effect. So hover opacity 75. Now you can see we have a hover effect in here. Alright. If I look at the original website, Now as you can see, the font family in original website is different than this one. So for that cause, I'm gonna copy and paste the font family inside this style.css. Okay, as you can see, the font is Montserrat. I just changed the previous style from vanilla CSS to a Tailwind style. Okay, as you can see, our texts are different now. Alright, now let's style our search bar. So I'm gonna add a class here, flex item center, gap 2, border bottom. Okay, border color is gonna be gray 600, width full, BG white, padding 1. For bigger screen, width is gonna be 10 rem, and for large screen, width is gonna be 20 rem. Okay, in bigger screen, we need to get rid of this green background color. I'm gonna write BG transparent, padding 0. Okay, now you can see we have a different style in bigger screen. Alright, now let's style this input here. So we are gonna get rid of this border, outline none, width is gonna be full, text extra small, BG transparent. For bigger screen, text is gonna be small. Okay, now you can see our search bar is looking good and responsive and in bigger screen. Alright guys, to open and close this module, we need to have an icon here. So for that, down here I'm gonna write bar menu, and down here we need to have a span tag, and inside that we need to have this icon code, okay, which is just a bar icon here. Alright, now I'm gonna give that a data attribute, because later on we will get this menu in the JavaScript using this attribute. Alright, so to style this, I'm gonna give a class here, text pixel text gray 700. Now if I increase the screen, you can see I can still have that in bigger screen, and I don't need to have that in bigger screen. So for bigger screen, I'm gonna write hidden. You can see we don't have that in big screen. Okay, now because our icon is behind this module, we need to separate this icon from basket. So in here I'm gonna write class flex 1. Okay, display flex item center, justify end. Okay, gap 3. For bigger screen, gap is gonna be 5. Now as you can see in big screen, our basket container get too much space. So in here I'm gonna target this big screen again, which starts from 640 pixel, and I'm gonna write flex 0.3. Now you can see that our search bar is more closer to the basket now. Alright, okay, now we need to target this tablet screen, flex 0.5. Alright, so this tablet screen is coming from tailwind.config.js. As you can see, inside these screens we have tablet, which starts from 890 pixel. Okay, now let's style our basket here. So I'm gonna write class flex item center, gap is gonna be 1. So we just separate this number from the basket text. Okay, for this counter number, we are gonna give a class. Width is gonna be 5, height is gonna be 5, BG read 500. Now you can see the number is in this corner. So to bring that in the middle, we need to write flex item center and justify center. Now you can see our number is in the middle. Rounded full, text white, and finally text small. Okay. Now for this text, uppercase, tracking is gonna be wider, font bold, text small, cursor pointer. Okay. Alright, now as you can see, our header is completed in both big screen and mobile screen. Now let's close this module using JavaScript. Okay, if you remember, we gave this data attribute to our bar menu here. So we are gonna target this icon in JavaScript. At first we need to target this bar menu here. Now we need to add a data attribute to our module as well. So in here I need to write data.navigation. Again, I'm gonna target this module using this data attribute in JavaScript. Okay. Now we are gonna add an event listener to our menu bar here. Okay. So now let's check if our icon click is working or not. I'm gonna write console log. It's working. And here we need to inspect. And if I click this menu here, you can see the console log is printed in here. It means that the on click is working perfectly. Alright. Now it is better to add this pointer events none inside this icon. It will allow your button to be clickable only, not your icon. Okay. So now instead of this console log, I'm gonna write data navigation.classlist.toggle active. So we are gonna toggle this class here using this bar menu. Okay. Our model is still showing in the browser. So to hide this model, we need to write here hide 0. As you can see, some part of the model is still in the browser. That is because of this padding. I'm gonna get rid of this padding here. And now we need to add our active class inside style.css. Add apply, padding 2. And in here we need to write hide to be auto. Alright. Now if I click this menu bar, you can see that our navigation is popping up. And if I click it back, you can see it will be gone. Okay. Alright guys, we have successfully finished our header part. Now let's implement this circle. As you can see, we have a big circle in here. So now let's make that. Just open this index.html again. And after this container div, you need to write circle here. And for that circle, we need to have a div. Class is gonna be absolute. Alright. Width is gonna be screen. Height screen. BG circle. So background color is circle. Circle is a color which is coming from config file again. Z index -1, rounded full. Circle class, which we are gonna write inside style.css. Okay. MD width is gonna be 45 frame. And height is gonna be 45 frame. Okay. Now you can see our circle is in here, but we need to push that to the middle. Okay, now as you can see, we have this circle class here. I'm gonna copy that, and inside this style.css, top is gonna be -11, left 50%, right 50%, transform translate -50% and -1%. Okay. Now you can see that our circle is in a good position. Alright, now if I inspect that to see the mobile version, you can see it's completely responsive. Alright guys, now let's implement this basket. As you can see in original website, if I click this basket here, this module will pop up, and this module will contain the number of cards that we have added. the cart itself, a button to remove all the carts, and at the end it has a component to show all the total prices. Okay, now let's style that. Inside this basket div, we need to have a shopping cart div here. So I'm gonna write div. Class is gonna be fixed. Insert 0 bg black multiplies by 80. It means that we are gonna add an opacity to this black color. Z-index 40, flex, item center, justify center, transition all, and duration 500. Okay, as you can see, we have this black color here, so it is the shadow of our module. Alright, now inside here we need to have another div. This time background is gonna be white with full MX6, padding 5. Okay, you can see we have this white background color here. Rounded large. For large screen, width is gonna be 60 rem. Alright, now it's looking good. Now inside this div, at first we need to have an icon to close the module. So I'm gonna write the icon inside this span tag. Okay, now this icon will take a class, block, text right, okay, text Excel, cursor pointer. Okay, now let's add a hover effect to it. So I'm gonna write hover, opacity to be 75. Okay, now down here we need to write the number of items we have added inside our shopping cart. Okay, we need to give it a class, font bold, padding bottom 7, and finally it's gonna be capitalized. Okay, now it's looking good. Down here we need to print our single shopping cart items. Okay, so at first we need to have a parent div, and inside here we will print our single cart. Alright, so our parent div will take a class, flex column, gap 5, maximum height is gonna be 15 rem, overflow wide auto. Okay, so inside here we need to have a div for our single cart. The class is gonna be bg cart, flex column, gap 6, padding 4, for bigger screen, flex row. Okay, now inside here we need to have a new div for our image. So the image is coming from this folder. Okay, now you can see we have this image with a different background color, and also there is scroll bar. Now this div will take a class where it's gonna be 7 rem, height 8 rem, flex, item center, justify center, background color white. Okay, now we need to decrease the image size. This image width is gonna be 7 rem, height 7 rem, and object is gonna be content. Now it's looking good. So down here we need to have a div for our text. Okay, at first we need to have a heading for our title. So now if I open the original website, as you can see we have a title and the type of our drink here, and down here we have button to increase and decrease the quantity. We have delete button here, and in the right side we have this price. Alright, now inside this div we need to have span. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste for other drink types. Now they are here. Alright, so for this div, flex 1.3, and for this title, at first we need to target the first letter, and it's gonna be capitalized. Okay, font bold, padding bottom 4. You can see our title is ready now. Now let's style these other details, our drink details here. I'm gonna give a class name, grid columns 2. Okay, now they are separated into two parts here. Text is gonna be extra small. Alright. Now let's add our buttons down here. There's quantity buttons and delete. So at first we need to have a button for increasing the quantity. I'm gonna write this icon code here. After this one, we need to have a span tag to count our quantity. And I'm gonna copy and paste this button down here and just change this icon code. Okay, now they are ready. Finally, we need to have a button for our delete. It will help us delete our cart from our shopping cart. Okay, but this delete button should be beside these quantity buttons. For that cause, we need to have a parent div for them. So I'm gonna copy this all, and instead we need to have a div here and paste them inside this container div. Okay. Alright. Now to separate them, we need to give a class to the container div. At first, padding top is gonna be 3. Grid columns 2. Alright, now they are beside each other. Now let's style our buttons. So at first I'm gonna target the first button, class bg gray 600, width 5, height 5, flex, item center, justify center, text color white, and finally text extra small. Okay. Now let's copy and paste this style to other buttons. Now for this delete button, we need to add a class, text small, border button, border color is gonna be black, text left. Now you can see that our delete button take the whole space, and we don't want that to happen. So to prevent that, we need to write width fit. Now you can see it will take space as much as it needs. Alright, now let's separate our buttons here. So for that, we need to give a class here, flex, item center, and gap 2. Alright, now they are ready. Finally, we need to add this price here in the right side. So down here, you need to write price part. It will take a heading 1, price, and inside this span tag, the price is gonna be 12. So I write this span tag because later on I will target this in JavaScript. Okay, I'm gonna style this heading 1 here, flex 1, text right, font semi-bold. Okay, our single quote is completely ready now. Now if I copy and paste that for multiple times, you can see our quotes are looking great. They have spaces between them, and there is scroll bar as well. Alright. Finally, we need to have a new div for our total price here. So I'm gonna write div. Inside this div, we need to have another div and a heading 3 here. Your total price is. Again, we need to have this span tag because we will target this number in JavaScript. Okay, for now it's $300. And down here we need to have a button to process our payment. Okay, and finally we need to have a button to remove all our shopping carts. Okay, now we need to give a class here, padding 5, flex, item start. Okay, now as you can see, remove all button is in the right side, but we want that to be in the left side. So So to fix that, we need to write flex row reverse. Now it's in the right side. Okay. So for this div, margin top is gonna be 7, bg cart, width fit, margin left auto, padding 5. Alright. For this heading 3, we need to have a class, font semi-bold. Alright, now we have a bigger font here. Now let's style this button. Margin top 2, bg gray 600, cursor pointer, text white, text center, width full, padding 1, and text small. Okay, our button is ready here. Now let's style our remove all. So for that, I just copy this style from here, and instead I'm gonna write button class, and I'm gonna write the same class and remove all button. Now I'm gonna open this style.css here, target this button class, and paste all my code here. Now you can see the remove all button text is changed, but it takes the whole space. So to prevent that, again we need to write here width fit. Okay, it seems it's not working. So if you want that to work, you need to add this exclamation mark beside this width. It make it important. Okay, again we need to add a little padding here. Again this exclamation mark. Alright, now you can see that our button is ready here. Now let's check that on the responsive part. As you can see, our single cart is completely responsive, but we have problem with remove all and our total price divs here. So to fix that, we need to come back, and for small sizes we need to write flex column and change this flex row reverse for bigger screen. Now you can see on a small screen the remove all will be down here. We want that to be on top of this total price. So for that cause, I'm gonna write flex column reverse. Now you can see that the remove all button is on top of the total price div here. Okay guys, now let's close this model using this icon. So again, I'm gonna write a data attribute attached to my basket text here. Okay, and then we need to add a data attribute to this shopping cart model here. Now open the JavaScript. Now at first we need to target the basket text here. So down here we need to set an even listener. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste that and change this to our basket button here. Okay, now at first we need to close this model in CSS. So I'm gonna open index.html. Instead of this flex, we need to have hidden here. Now you can see our model is hidden. So we will open that again using this my basket text. Okay. Now let's check if our button is working or not. Again, I'm gonna write console log here. If I click this text here, you can see the console log is printed. Okay, it means that the button is working here. Now again we need to add a class list to our basket. So that class list is gonna be show basket here. So inside this style.css, I'm gonna write show basket, and in here we need to write flex. Now if I click this text here, you can see this module will pop up. Alright. Now let's close this module using this icon. So if you remember, I have already added this data attribute to the close icon here. I'm gonna target that in JavaScript. Again, we need to set an even listener to that. Okay, but this time we need to remove this class here. Now if I click this basket, our module will be opened. But if I click this icon, you can see that the module will be closed. Alright guys, now let's implement this text. So I just come back to VS Code, and down here we need to have a main tag. Okay, at first we need to have a heading one. I'm gonna write all my text here. I added this span tag because we are gonna split this text into 2 lines. Okay, down here we need to have a paragraph with the lorem text. Alright, now let's style this. At first I'm gonna give a class to main tag here, text center. Okay, now they are in the center. Padding top 3 rem, height 30, flex, item center, justify center, flex column. Okay guys, now as you can see our text is in the middle. This is because Tailwind CSS style mobile responsive first. So now we need to handle the big screen as well. Okay, now for bigger screen, padding top 1 rem, text right. We need to write block. Now you can see the text are on the right corner. Alright, finally we need to write height auto. Okay, now for this heading 1, text 5 pixel, text color is gonna be title, font extra bold. Okay, now if I head back to the original website, you can see the text are separated into 2 lines. So we are gonna make the same here, and here we need to write flex column. Now you can see our text are separated into 2 lines. Okay, now they are looking the same. So for this paragraph we need to write text small, font semi bold, padding top 3, text gray 600. Okay, now our paragraph is looking good. Alright, I think we have a different text here, so I'm gonna copy the original text. Alright, and paste it here. Okay, now you can see our text are the same. Alright, now let's implement this cart. As you can see, if I hover over this cart, our cart will take a green background color, and you can see when I hover, this price will be shown here, and this color details will be changed to another details. Okay, now let's implement that. Down this main tag we need to have a section. Okay, inside this section we are gonna have a div. At first we are gonna print our image. Okay, now you can see we have the image, and secondly we need to have a title here. So I'm gonna write div heading 1 is gonna be this title, and we need to have a price here. We will show that on hover. Okay, down this one we need to have a new div for our details. We need to have a paragraph here, colorist. Now let's add the drink detail here. So at first we are gonna have a parent div because we are gonna use grid to separate them into 2 columns, and then inside that we are gonna have a span tag. Okay, I'm gonna write all the details here. Alright, now let's style this single quote here. At first we are gonna style this div here, PG card, rounded LG, relative, text card text. Okay, now the color is changed, and for this image we need to give this image class here. So I'm gonna open style.css. Height is gonna be 10 rem, position absolute, top 0, right 50%, left 50%, transform translate minus 50% and minus 50%. Alright, now our image is in good shape. So for this div we need to give a class, padding top 6 rem, padding x 1 rem, padding bottom 1 rem. Okay, Now for this title, text large, font bold, capitalized, leading 6, and padding bottom 5. Okay. Now let's style this price here. This price will be shown on hover, so we need to move this price to the right corner here. So for that, guys, we need to add absolute here, right 6, top 6, text to Excel, and text color is gonna be white. Okay, now it is in the right side. Okay, if I head back to the original website, as you can see, if I hover over this card, this price will be shown. So by default, we are gonna display to hidden here, and later on I will show that using hover. Okay, now let's style the details down here. We need to give a class to this parent div here, grid columns 2. Alright, now they are separated into 2 columns. Now if I copy and paste that for multiple times, you can see our cards are on top of each other, but we need to add them beside each other. So for that, we need to give a class to our section, grid columns cards. You can see our cards are beside each other. So this card is coming from config JS here. As you can see, we have grid template columns. Okay, it will help us have responsive cards in our website. Alright, now we need to add gap here, gap 5.5 rem, margin Y 8 rem. For large screen, gap is gonna be 5. Okay, now our cards are looking good here. Let me inspect that to see in mobile version. As you can see, our cards are completely responsive. Alright, now let's handle this hover. So if I hover over this card, as you can see, it will show a different details here. So at first we are gonna change this background color on hover. So in card div, you need to add a hover bg title. Okay, following that, you need to write transition all, duration 500. It will make the hover smoothly. Okay, and finally we need to change the color text on hover. It's gonna be white. Alright, now you can see if I hover over this card, the background color will be changed along with the text color. Okay. Okay, now let's show this price on hover. So at first we need to have a class on parent div of our card. I'm gonna name that group here. Okay, and down here to show the price on hover, we need to write group, hover, and display block. Now let's check that. You can see that our price will be shown here. Alright, and now you can see we have some selects in here for our details and also a button. Now let's implement them. So to implement them, at first let me show you the hover effect over this detail here. I'm gonna write class group hover hidden. Now if I hover over this one, you can see the text will be gone. Okay, but for now we just leave that to be hidden, not on hover effect. Okay, so down this div we need to have another div, and inside here we need to have a new div. Okay, inside here at first we need to have a span and select tag here. Okay, inside here we have multiple options with the value. Okay, now you can see we have a text with select menu here. Alright, okay, so for this div I'm gonna write class grid columns 2 gap 3. So for this span tag we need to write class text gray 600, font semi bold, text small. Now you can see the details are separated into 2 columns. Okay, we need to have multiple selects menu here, so I'm gonna copy and paste them. Now you can see we have 3 selects down here. Alright, now let's style them. At first I'm gonna change their details here. Okay, now I'm gonna write a class in the select here, BG transparent, outline none, border bottom, and border color is gonna be gray 600, text small. Okay, now our select is looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna copy and paste this class to other select. Okay, now they got the same style, but our options are not styled yet. So I'm gonna open style.css, and in here I'm gonna target select an option, and I just add a background color to black. Okay, now we have changed the background color of our select here. Finally, we need to have a button down here to add our cart inside our shopping cart. We need to have a div button add to basket. So this div will take a class text center margin top 5. Okay, now our button is here. So let's style this button. Class BG white, text gray 600, uppercase, tracking wider. So this tracking will add spaces between each characters. As you can see, if I get rid of this, our texts are so close to each other, but if I add that, you can see they have a little space between them. Alright, now we need to add font bold, text extra small, padding Y2, padding X5, rounded full. Now it's looking good. Alright guys, now if I add multiple cards here, you can see our cards are styled perfectly. Okay, now let's add this hover effect here on our card. So down here to our new details, we need to have a new class here and hiding. You can see the new details are hiding. Okay, we are gonna bring back these details to a hover effect. Now you can see if I hover, it will be gone. And down here we need to write group hover and block. So the first one will be hidden using hover, and the second one is gonna be shown using hover effect. Okay, now if I hover over that, you can see the first details will be gone and the new details will be replaced. Okay, alright guys, as you can see our cart is completely responsive here. Now finally at the end of this web page we need to have a footer. So inside here we need to have a paragraph for our copyright. Okay, we need to style that BG cart, rounded MG, padding 4, text center. Okay, now it's looking good here. Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video we are gonna implement the JavaScript part of this project. As you can see, I have this card, and if I hover over this card, it will be changed with a new details. So I can choose my details here. Okay, now if I click this button, I will see this notification here, and also this product will be added in my basket. Inside this basket, as you can see, I have 2 buttons here with a counter. If I click this one, it will increase. As you can see, it will increase the prices in here and also in total prices. And if I click this button, it will be decreased. Now you can see the quantity of this product is 2, but if I click this add to basket again, it will not add a duplicate product. Instead, it will just increase this number here. Okay, now I can add multiple products here. Okay, you can see my notifications here, and if I click it back, you can see I have all the products and the total price counted here. Using this button, I can delete a single product, and also if I click this button, all of the products will be gone. As you can see, this message will be displayed when we don't have any product, and this message will show how many products have been added inside our shopping cart. And because our basket is currently empty, you can see the number is showing 0 in here. Alright guys, now let's get started. So the first thing which we need to do is we need to add our real data instead of this dummy data. So I just come back to my HTML part, and as you can see, I have a JavaScript file in here. But I don't like to add all my JavaScript code inside one file. So for that, I'm gonna make a new folder in here. I'm gonna call that components. Now inside here, I'm gonna have a new file called onclick.js. I'm gonna add all my onclick files in here. So I just copy and paste them inside this file. Okay. Now the question is how we can grab that inside this min.js. So I'm gonna grab all of them here. Now I'm gonna make an arrow function here called onclick and just add them inside here. Now we need to export it. Okay, I just come back to the main page. In here we need to add an event listener to DOM content loaded. So I'm gonna write window.add event listener DOM content loaded. Okay, this arrow function, and inside here we just grab this onclick function. Alright, so this DOM content loaded is once the browser is refreshed, this will be printed. Okay, now let's check if our onclick is working or not. So if I click this, you can see our onclick is working perfectly. In responsive part, we have this button. Alright, it's working perfectly. Alright, now to display this data, we need to have a new file here. I'm gonna call that display data. Okay, and inside here again we need to have a function, and inside we need to map through all the data that we have. So I have added all the data inside this data.js. You can get this from my GitHub file. Alright, so I just copy this data from here, and in here we need to have a variable first. Const display data is equal to data. You need to import that from that file. .map. We need to get each and every product in here. Okay, and following that we need to have a return keyword with this template string. Now we need to write our HTML code in here, which is belong to this card. Okay, so I just come back to the HTML file. I'm gonna close this file that I don't need. As you can see, I have my single card in here. So I'm gonna copy this code and paste that in here. Okay, now we need to change this data with a new data that we have. But first of all, we need to destructure the data that we have inside this product. Okay, so let me copy and paste them. We need to get this ID, title, total path, this one, image, price. Okay, and paste them all in here. Don't forget to add this commas. Okay, now let's replace them. I'm gonna replace this image with the images that we have inside the data, and we have a title in here. I'm gonna replace that with the title, and I'm gonna replace this one with the price here. Okay, and we need to replace them in here. So I'm gonna delete this one here with total path, okay, and also this one. Alright, now down here we don't have to change anything. Okay guys, we have successfully updated our data in here. Now we need to append this file to our div inside index.html. So as you can see, the container for this product is this section. So we need to grab this section inside this file. So I'm gonna add the data attribute in here, data.cards, and using this data we can grab this section inside this file. So I'm gonna write here cards is equal to document.selector, and if you are grabbing a div element from HTML using data attribute, you need to add these braces here and paste your data attribute. Okay, now we need to append the display data to this card. So in here, down here, we need to write cards.inner HTML is equal to display data. Okay, now we need to export this function, and we need to grab this function in here. Alright, now let's check. As you can see, our data are displayed in here, but we have these extra columns in here. Now let's get rid of them. So to get rid of that, we need to write here dot join and add this string. Okay, now you can see our data have been added successfully. Alright guys, now let's see how we can add a single product inside our basket. So as you can see, inside here we have multiple selects, and we need to get the value of this selects inside the JavaScript. And also we have a button, and we need to grab this button inside the JavaScript also, because we are gonna make an on click to this button. Okay, so I just come back to my main.js here. So at first we need to grab all the selects and the buttons here. So down here I'm gonna write size. Now let's console log them to see if they are here or not. Okay, let me check in the browser. If I inspect here, as you can see, my select and the buttons are printed here, but you can see I have get only a single button, but I want to get all the buttons here. So I'm gonna write here curly selector all, but it will give me a node list of this button. So to change that to be an array, we need to wrap this all curly selector using this array and add this spread operator. Now you can see our buttons are not in node list anymore. Alright, now let's add our product inside our shopping cart. So the first thing which we need to do is we need to set an on click to this button and just display the single data which is belong to the single cart. Okay, so down here we need to make a function instead of this console log. I'm gonna call that add cart. Now up here we need to define that function const add cart is equal to this arrow function, and now we need to grab all the data that we sent through this function from here. Okay, so the first thing which we need to do is we need to loop through these buttons here, buttons.forEach. Okay, and we are gonna get each and every button here. Alright, and down here we need to set an on click to this single button, button.addEventListener click, and let me console log to see if it's working or not. I'm gonna write here, it is working. Okay, now I'm gonna come back and inspect here. If I click this button, you can see it's printed, it's working. Okay, it's working here. Alright, now our buttons are working perfectly. So now the question is how we can add data to our cart. So we will add the data using the ID that matches with the ID of our button. So we check if the ID of this cart matches with the ID of our button, then we will display that inside our cart. Alright, now let's see where our button ID is coming from. So again, I'm gonna open this display data in here, and we need to add a data attribute. Data.id is equal to our ID. So it's gonna be our button ID. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here. At first, we need to get this button ID here. So I'm gonna write button ID is equal to button.dataset.id. Now if I console log it here, btn ID, if I click this button, you can see the ID of this button is 3, this one is 2, and this one is 1, and this one is 4. Okay, now let's find a single card that matches with our button ID. So I'm gonna come down here and write const data1 is equal to data.find. Okay, we need to import this data because this is our original data. Alright, we need to get each and every item here, and now we need to check if btn ID matches with the item's ID. Okay, now let's console log this one here. If I click this button, you can see it shows undefined. If it shows undefined, it means the ID are not matching. So at first we need to check the type of our ID in here and the type of our ID here. So now instead of this one, we are gonna console log type of btn ID and type of item.id. Now let's check it back. If I click this button, you can see that the type of my btn is string and the type of cart ID is number. So it means that they are not equal. So we need to change this string to number. So if I add a plus beside this btn ID, and if I click it back, you can see now our string is changed to be number. So it means that we need to add this plus beside this btn ID to change from string to number. Alright, we need to bring them all back here and add this plus. Now if I click the button, you can see the single card is printed here. Alright, now if I click it here, you can see our card with the ID of 1 is played here. Alright guys, but we are not displaying this data inside our shopping cart because we are going to display a different data, which is the size, milk and drink, okay, and also our image and the price. Okay, so to make that, we need to come down here. Now first of all, we need to get this e here, which is event. Alright, now we need to check if btn ID is equal to e.target.dataset.id. So I'm gonna call that const new data is equal to this object. So we need to pass the ID here. The ID is gonna be btn ID. Our title is going to be data1.title. Now we need to print our select data in here. So I'm gonna write here size is equal to size dot value, because our input has value, right? So I'm gonna copy and paste them. This gonna be milk, this one is drink, okay. And also we need to print our image here. It's gonna be images. And finally we need to print our price, okay. Now let's check our new data here. I'm gonna write console log new data. Alright, now let's change our details here. It's gonna be medium, it's gonna be hot milk, and it's gonna be tea. Now if I click this button, okay, we have an error saying images is not defined because we made a mistake. Image doesn't have value. It's gonna be data1.images, and also this price is gonna be data1.price. Okay, now let's check it again. I'm gonna change the details here. If I click this button, you can see I get a new object in here with a new ID. You can see our image here, and I have printed the input value in here. It's small, and this is the title, okay. This is the size, and drink is in here. Alright, now we have successfully generated our shopping cart here. Now let's display that inside our shopping cart. So first of all, we need to make an array because this shopping cart is a list of carts, okay. So up here we need to write list carts is equal to an empty array. Now we will push all our data to this array and display that inside our shopping cart. Down here I'm gonna get rid of this console log, and we need to push our data to our array. So in this case I'm gonna use a spread operator. I'm gonna write here cart is equal to this empty array. At first we need to get whatever items exist inside this cart and add this object with the new data and a quantity which is currently 1. Now let's check our cart here, console log carts. If I click this button, you can see our cart has one data in here, which is new data. I can add another data in here. You can see our cart has 2 objects here, which is new data. But here we get a problem. Our shopping cart is printing a nested object here. So to get rid of this problem, we need to write a spread operator to this data to merge this data to our array, okay. Now let's check it again. You can see we don't have that nested object anymore. I can add another product here. Alright, we have successfully added our product inside our shopping cart. Now let's display them. So to display that, again I'm gonna have a new file in here. I'm gonna call that display product. Okay, now inside here we need to have a function, and I'm gonna export that, okay. Now we need to grab this product which we will send. Now I'm gonna import this function inside this main.js. So we need to display this product in here. I'm gonna write and just pass this cart to it, and also we need to write this display product inside this add event listener, okay, because it will help you display the product in the browser.